Definitely. Hello and welcome to the Every Girl Wins Life and Literacy Show. And today I have my guest, which is Dr. Ruben West, and I'm Dr. Christine Kozachuk, your host for today. And Dr. West, thank you so much for being a part of Every Girl Wins Life Literacy Show today.
Well, absolutely. And let me just say thank you for the work that you're doing around the world. I mean, I look up and I see Every Girl Wins everywhere. And it's amazing because it just started out as an idea in your mind. Mm-hmm. It takes a vision, and it also takes a visionary, and you are that visionary. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you for allowing me to be on your show.
Yeah, and you're talking about an idea, and when I say an idea, Dr. West, and for me, sometimes you don't like these compliments, but I'm going to give you one.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, with Dr. West is my mentor. He's my coach. He is the person that has pushed me, has stood there with me. And most of you that know my story know that he was one of the men that never judged me based on my story. He always encouraged me to stand there and speak my truth. And that's why he's the expert of global voices of change in this world. So thank you so much. And, this life literacy program, like you said, it was an idea that started in Guyana in the Ramada, at the lobby,
Right.
almost 2 years ago. It has grown tremendously for people like yourself that supports the women, with this program. And now one of the life literacy program parts of the program with Every Girl Wins, and there's 5 parts to it. There's identify, there's understand, there is communicate, collaborate, and create. So those there are the 5 elements of life literacy for Every Girl Wins.
I love it.
Now, for you, with the Global Voices of Change, you're about communication.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the reason I took communication is because now more than ever, we have to be able to communicate our message to the world. Because of this pandemic, it's good news and bad news. And the good news is that we've all been forced to use technology like we're using right now. Now, we were using it in some ways before the pandemic, let's be honest, but we're certainly expanded our use now. And the good news is that this technology eliminates geography. And so now our ability to communicate our message, our ideology, our goals to people around the world is so profound. And so with Global Voices of Change and with the whole concept, I wanted to come up with a way to help people get their message out there and to let them know that their message not only can resonate in their own area, but it can resonate around the world.
Absolutely. And like I said, with the communication, and I can remember very first meeting you, and it was something that I wanted to do, and I knew deep down that God gave me a mission to be able to go around and to the world to speak to girls, and but the old saying, when when you're the
student's ready, the teacher will appear.
That was you.
Yeah.
that was you.
And you know what? It's interesting that you say that. I'm glad you say that. And for anyone listening, I want you to really catch what she said. She said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And what she said is, hey, I remember when I met you and it's like you appeared. And I see it just the opposite. I see it as you're the teacher, and in a way I'm the student. And one of the things that you're teaching me is just to believe more out of the students, believe more in the students. I won't ever try and reduce anybody's idea because I know that it's possible. And you've been a voice that I've been so proud to work with, because what I like about you is you're a doer. Like, there's so many people with ideas, they talk about ideas, and I could do this and I could do that. And you could do a lot of things, but what it really comes down to is what you're willing to do and what you're actually doing. And so, Christine, I got to say, you're a doer. And so I've learned that from you. So you were the teacher. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And, and that's one of the things that I actually teach in my class. People will say, they'll say, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. But you have to have that burning desire to do it. And that's something that I learned a long time ago in life, a long time ago.
Exactly.
To make sure that, just not I didn't succeed, but also my children succeeded, in
Exactly.
life. Now, in communication, I'm going to go back to, one of the elements of communication for you. And you have someone just like myself that, was struggling with speaking and things. What would you share with these other young girls that some of them, they cannot use their voice because it means life or death. But many can. And those that can't use their voice for change for themselves, that is, life or death situation. What would you say to these people about using their voices for change for females around the world?
I was watching your show not too long ago, and you had Pastor Dorcas from Kenya on the show, and she said something that was profound. I had to go back and watch it again and write it down a couple of times. And she said that every leader in the world, every president, prime minister, you name it, they all came from a woman. And she said, how is it possible that we could give birth to something that we couldn't be ourselves? I just thought that was profound.
Yeah.
And what I want the people to understand is when you understand the gift that's wrapped inside that box, when you understand it, you should get to a burning desire where you can't help but to want to help open it. Let me give you an example. I remember giving my son Robinson some Christmas gifts, and my wife doesn't believe in haphazard tape jobs. If it was me, it would just be kind of halfway taped, and that's good. But she puts all the tape on there, the ribbon. And so he was really having a difficult time opening it. And it was his gift. But after a while, we're like, okay, this is taking way too long. And we jumped in and we helped him open it ourselves. And that's exactly what we have to do for these young girls. That we have to see the gift inside of them, and we have to have a burning desire to help them open it. Why? Because they wouldn't be created if they weren't needed. Like, they were created for a purpose, on purpose, and with a purpose, and our purpose should be to help them open it. And so what I want to tell to everyone listening, if you have an opportunity to pass a young girl a microphone or put her on stage or put her in the spotlight where her views can be heard, her mind can be searched, and not only that, her confidence can be expanded. Do it, because you have no idea what you're building for the future. No one could have expected that you, Christine Kozachuk, who was pregnant at 13 years old and married at 14, would be a global influence. No one could have saw that coming. But somebody wanted to help you share your voice, and now look at you. And so we have to be willing to do that for the other young girls.
Absolutely, and I love how you demonstrated, the gift, the tape. What so many don't know is what a gift they have. And we were talking with, in a group a while back with Anana, and one of the things, Dr. Anana, one of the things she talks about is those girls or women in the back that are treasures, that has a voice. How do we bring them up to the front to speak on that? That they have so much to share, so many gifts.
Yeah, and so many of them have been excluded by life. So many of them have been overlooked. And it's not that their value has been taken away. So many have never been told that they have value. So they don't even know that they're a gift. They don't know that they have a gift. And so what they end up being, I think Dr. Anana calls it as shadow seekers. Those are the people that you bring into the room and they stay in the back of the room. They want to be in the shadow. They don't want to be seen. But what I love about you, Dr. Christine, and the Every Girl Wins movements is you're interested in moving every young girl out of the shadow and helping them win. And I think we all have to find ways to do that, because when we do it, we're going to empower a whole new generation of individuals.
Oh, absolutely. And that's powerful. Thank you so much, for sharing that, with that. The women and the females around the world, they're absolutely amazing. And I want to stop and take a moment for those that are watching or listening to us today. If you have any questions for Dr. West, please put them in the comments, and at the end, we'll answer those questions. Or if you do it later on, I'll send them to him and he can answer the questions also for you. So I want to thank those that are listening at the moment. So my next question to you is entrepreneurship. Yes. I don't know who's more of a serial entrepreneur, you or me.
It's a competition. That's right.
Yeah, and that for entrepreneurship, and one of the programs is the last program for Every Girl Wins. And
Yeah.
that last program for Every Girl Wins is entrepreneurship, showing them how to put together a blueprint and how to put together a for their entrepreneurship, because what we have to do, especially in low income developing countries and third world countries, we have to show them that there's another way other than employment,
Yep.
that they have to be sustainable and be able to take care of themselves, whether or not it's through the plant a garden project that's a part of Every Girl Wins, which
Right.
again, thank you so much for donating to that. So anyone that wants to know anything about Plant a Garden Project, go to my website. It's absolutely phenomenal that we started that. That helps females around the world, for entrepreneurship, to put food on their table, to be able to sell the produce for food, and also be confident. So, and one of the other things with the entrepreneurship, you have to have your business started and running before you graduate the Every Girl Wins Institute.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's so brilliant. That's so
So,
brilliant.
so one of the things with females around the world, give them some tips and advice on starting a business. It doesn't have to be Google. And matter of fact, Dorcas, and your niece is helping out also, right, with the poultry.
Yeah. Poultry project. Yes.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
that.
So let me give them some advice. Number one, I think you have to figure out why it's so important. See, I think when we've been trained that the only way we can earn a living is to put our hands and our work and our lives in the hands of someone else, then that's restrictive because we're always at their mercy. But Christine, I remember I was talking about this today, driving my father to work. I was a young kid. He worked at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And out front, there were some people picketing and boycotting, or picketing, I think it was. And some people were on strike, and I didn't know what it was. We were in the back street. And so my brother and I said, why are all these people out there? And he was explaining to us that they were boycotting or picketing because they wanted more money, and they didn't give them more money. And some of the people honestly had gotten let go. And I said, well, what did they do wrong? And he said, well, they didn't do anything wrong. And I said, well, wait a minute. I thought you said they got sent home, like they weren't going to get paid anymore. He said, yeah. I said, well, why would they get sent home if they didn't do anything wrong? He said, well, because the people who own the company, the people who run the company, have the right to change their mind. And so if we're no longer going to have earth mover tires and they send it to another state, well, all the people who are going to work in the earth movers, they don't need them anymore. And in that moment, it made me think, wait a minute, you mean that you could be doing everything right? You could be a good person, you're working hard, you're getting paid, and then all of a sudden they can just change their mind and take it all away from you? And then, yeah. That moment, I thought, there's got to be a different plan. I mean, there's got to be a different way. And that's what we want to show these young ladies is that there's a different way. Because what happens, Dr. Christina, what I love about Every Girl Wins is you're showing them a commodity. And the commodity may be the gardening project like you were talking about, or Pastor Dorcas with the chickens and the poultry. Now that becomes a sustainable food source. It becomes an income source. It becomes a bargaining tool. But what happens is when they don't have a commodity that's outside of themselves, unfortunately, a lot of times they become the commodity. And so what we have to show them is that we want to put this entrepreneurship mindset in the hands of you so that you can have a business, you can have the say, you can have the final word, and you can have a commodity that people can't force it to be you. And so how do we get them to do it? I think we get them to understand how important it is to free themselves up over a period of time, over their lifetime, by understanding the concept of an entrepreneur, because you've been an entrepreneur for a long time and you've never looked back. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time and I've never looked back. And it's hard for me to even think now. Somebody telling me when I can go on vacation, or when I can take a break, or when I can travel to Kenya, or when I can travel to these different countries. It's hard to even put that into my mind,
Yes. And I totally understand that because, I've been in business for almost 26 years. And it just, I'm like you, I can't even think about, because for my husband and I, when we all of a sudden say, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we decided, we'd been in a quarantine since March, hadn't went anywhere. And I looked at him the night before we left, and I said, we've got to go to the beach. We've got to go. So that evening we were on the phone looking for a place to, find a place to go to the beach. We left that morning and came back 4 days later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're about to do that next weekend. We're going to Arizona to not a bed and breakfast, but not a timeshare. What do they call those? Kind of like Uber, but the
Airbnb.
Yeah, the Airbnb. Yes, exactly. That's what we're doing because we just have to get away. We have to get away.
Yeah, and you have to take that, that mental break, and that's what we did. But it's the owning your own, business and making sure your money, you're the one that's in control of it coming in, because a lot of times when you're working for someone else, you're not in control of that as you think you are.
Not at all. And this COVID-19 has brought that to a lot of people. And I say it like this, Dr. Christine, that our false sense of security, right? Because that's really what it is when we have that job. We think we're secure, but I feel like that false sense of security is the limiting factor to our entrepreneurship, right? Because we believe in that so much that we never step out there. We never try. There's things that we could accomplish, but we never do it because we have this false sense of security. Well, that's been taken away from a lot of people. They've told them, hey, we don't need you anymore. We can't use you anymore. Even though we wanted you, the business has to change. The way we do business has to change. And a lot of people are developing their entrepreneurship skills right now because of that forced change.
Yeah. And, one of the other things we talk about the forced change is sometimes we also have to change our business structure. There's some people that they went from 100% to zero.
Exactly.
But for me, I was actually one of the lucky ones with my truck repair company that did not suffer in that, and with the Every Girl Wins Institute, because the Institute is virtual.
Exactly. And see, it forces us to be creative in a way that we may not have thought of before. See, I mean, me and you were just talking before we came on camera. Look how much we used to travel.
Yes.
I mean, we went to Guyana together. We went to Kenya together. We went to Uganda together. I mean, we've been doing a lot of travel. That's just the stuff we've done together, let alone the stuff we've done individually. And then all of a sudden, all of that is gone.
Yes,
right? And so we've had to figure out a way to stay relevant and to run our business virtually. But make no mistake, if you're listening, we were just talking about how we're dying to get back to travel. So they want us out there. We're back out there.
Yeah, we are ready. And this time we were talking this time last year. Yes. You and I and a group of delegates was actually riding the bus through the country, 5 hours through the country in Uganda to go to the Kingdom of Toro.
That's right.
Yes. So that was very, very exciting. So ladies, let me tell you something, if you don't know my story of being 13 years old and people tell me that I would be nobody, that I would be worthless, I sit in the kingdom of Toro when nobody told me that I would never be anybody. So this program is based on my story. It's based on my life of how, what I went through, because we work first from the inside out, and then, we work on that entrepreneurship. So make no mistake that this program is just not another cookie cutter program. It is true, it's based, and it's workable, and it's there.
I gotta say this because most people don't know that their life is the greatest teaching tool. And what I love about this Every Girl Wins is it's not theoretical, it's lived. This is a teaching tool from your life. So a lot of people can say, hey, you can do this and you can do that. And a lot of people tell people they can. They just haven't done it. And so how I'm thinking, don't teach what you don't know. How can you teach it? You've never done it. And watch this, that goes both ways. So when people tell you what you can't do, they don't know what you can do because they haven't tried it. And so what I love about this Every Girl Win, Dr. Christine Kozachuk, is that you've lived it. Like you were that pregnant 13-year-old girl. You did have 3 children by the time you were 18 and left home on your own, having to figure it out as you went along, And so this is not just theoretical information. This comes from the life you've lived. And watch this, then you did become an entrepreneur. You have been in business for over 20 plus years. So what I love about Every Girl Wins is it comes with a level of authenticity that a lot of programs don't. A lot of programs are teaching you theory. You're teaching experiences that you've lived and showing them through life literacy how they can change their lives regardless of where they're at right now. So this is not just another cookie cutter program.
Absolutely not. It's not another cookie cutter program. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about, you represent females around the world. Tell us a little bit about someone that you're supporting, which is your niece.
Yes.
With the poultry.
Yeah, fantastic. My niece, Aaliyah Smith, is a Girl Scout. She's, I think, 14 or 15 years old. She's a senior Girl Scout, and she decided that she was going to do her Gold Award. She's already done the Bronze Award, the Silver Award, and now she wanted to work on her Gold Award project. Well, this Gold Award project is a project to where she's teaming up with Dorcas Kavad in Kenya, in the Nguni village, to create the community poultry project. Now listen to this. This poultry project, they just got the blueprints for the structure. They're going to build this structure that'll hold 500 chickens. And it'll hold 500 chickens. It has the feeding area. It has the sleeping area, the hatching area. And this project is designed to teach the women in the community exactly what you said, entrepreneurship, how to have a commodity, how to trade, how to barter, how to sell and make money. But also it's sustainable because they'll be growing the chickens, they'll be selling the chickens, they'll be selling the eggs, they'll be eating some of them so that it gives them a food source. They're also implementing solar energy so that they introduce it to the community as a viable product for their homes and things like that. So what got me excited about this is that here's a young girl teaming up with people from around the world and making it happen. And they're not waiting on anybody else to do it. They're not getting permission. They don't need a bunch of men involved. If you see the flyer, it's my niece, it's Pastor Dorcas, and their daughter Agape. And these 3 women are changing the lives of the community. And then she's positioning herself to use the skills she's learned in Girl Scouts to raise funds and raise money, to get the money to put this project on, because there are people around the world that care. They want to see your integrity, so they want to know that the money's going to what you said it was going for, and then they want to see the results. And so she's also put up a page to show those results. So I'm extremely proud of her. I'm extremely proud of Pastor Dorcas and Agape and them all coming together. And what I want to encourage everyone listening is find a way to give back, find a way to think bigger. And what I love is the project is much bigger than she is. I mean, she's a high school student. It doesn't matter. She knows that it's not about her doing it on her own, but it's about her bringing the right people together to get it done. And I think that's one of the things that you teach in Every Girl Wins Institute.
Yes, and then one of them is the collaboration. You talk about teamwork, and right there, you have 3 powerful women, females, that have collaborated together to make a change in their community. And see, Reverend Dorcas, she's actually one of my students, and she's getting ready to go through the master training program where she'll be teaching. And when we had talked about this a while back about the chickens, I told her, I said, you need to create a book.
Yes.
Create a book on how you did that and sell that.
Yes.
Right?
And listen, not only is she going to create a book, but they're going to draw up the whole plan. Like even that's why they said, hey, Dr. West, we got to get a blueprint for this facility so that if they wanted to duplicate it in other villages, they could just use the blueprint. So they're documenting the whole process so that it could be duplicated. And that's powerful because in the end, we not only want to help this community here, but we want to help every community that wants to come together and create a project like this.
Absolutely. So we're getting ready to close, Dr. West. And is there any last words that you want to speak to just not the females, but to the males of the world and helping females around the world?
Yeah. I'm always looking at our legacy. And Everybody talks to me, Dr. Christine, and they say, Dr. West, I want to leave a legacy. And I think that's very noble. And you may be listening to me right now and thinking to yourself, I want to leave a legacy. Well, let me give you a bit of advice. The best way to leave a legacy is to live one. Dr. King left a legacy because he lived one. Mother Teresa left a legacy because she lived one. Guess what? Dr. Christine Kozachuk and Every Girl Wins, she's going to leave a legacy because she lived one. If you want to leave a legacy, live it. Find who you can help. Find who you can inspire. Because the real key to leaving a legacy is to living it. And the real key to living it is how you're going to help other people. If you look at the people who have left a legacy, especially a positive one, they left it and lived it because they helped people. And so I want to encourage you to find a way to uplift people, but also find a way to uplift the women and the young girls of this world. Why? Because they have to know that if they can give birth to a leader, they can also be the leader. Ruben West, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely love that. I don't even have to do my closing. You do perfectly.
That's good.
But if you want to know more about Every Girl Wins Institute, go to everygirlwins.com. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put this into our feed. That way you know exactly what that is. Whoops. Wait. We did Every Girl wrong. I can't even hardly see right now. Wait a second. Okay, you can go there and check out Every Girl Wins Institute. We have a program for every girl out there that needs help and that needs support in whatever it is. I have a program from free to classes, to individual classes, whatever your budget is. The Every Girl Wins Institute can support you in making sure that you have the resources to move forward. This is Dr. Christine Kozachuk. Thank you, Dr. Ruben West, for all your wisdom and everything. And I look forward to traveling soon again with you.
You too.
So again, thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, for listening and supporting us. And talk to you in a couple weeks.